number 9 speech, Debunking the Myth.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. First off, I just want to emphasize I'm not here to stir up trouble. But Neil presented me with a bit of a conundrum last time when he did his speech of walking on the moon. Because I've already had this lovely speech prepared for my number 9 about space exploration. And then he came up with his walking on the moon and why we didn't. And I felt I couldn't quite go forward with that speech without challenging him on his beliefs about why we did walk on the moon. Now, in 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon, and the footage of them walking on the moon, footage of them landing on the moon, inspired millions of people around the globe then and still today. It inspired people to the extent that my best friend back home, who was born on 20 July 1969, was named Neil Armstrong Salt. And if nothing else, I owe it to him to prove to you that there was a man on the moon. So today, I want to have a quick look at a few of the myths around and try and convince you that it's not a myth. First off, this was way too big an event and of too big a significance in human history to be put down to a fake. At the time of the moon landings, there was over 50,000 people working on this project in the USA and around the world to make it happen. And just from human nature, I can tell you, and you probably agree, that many people, no way it would have been kept a secret for 45 years. Somebody somewhere would have dropped a few words over a couple of years with their friends and said, actually, you know, we just shot it at the back there. It just can't happen. And also on the same line, at this, Neil Armstrong walking on the moon was an emphatic victory for the USA over the Soviet Union. Considering this was in the middle of the Cold War, the Soviet Union was keeping a close watch and the space race was pretty much on at that stage. If there was anything dodgy or fake about the moon landings, Russia would have blown the whistle immediately. And still today they would blow the whistle if they feel there's anything out of the ordinary or that shouldn't be like it is. Now we move on to a few sort of more scientific things. Neil talked about the deadly Van Allen belts, which we can traverse. Looking at the statistics and the mathematical possibilities behind it, the spacecraft, the Apollo spacecraft, was traveling at around 25,000 kilometers per hour, which would have taken them about 54 minutes to traverse the Van Allen belts on the trajectory that they were on. This would have meant that they get 11.4 rads of radiation during their transit in the Van Allen belts. This equates to, if you put it round it up to hours, to about 13 rads per hour. Considered 300 rads per hour is starting to become life-threatening. 13 rads you can probably live with, and I think they did. Then we look at a lot of the photos the conspiracy theorists sort of looked at and say, there's a problem with the photos because there's different shadows, the shadows fall at different angles from each other, and so on. And first thing you have to say is, the moon has hardly got any atmosphere. So light and the reflection of light would be totally different on the moon compared to what it behaves on Earth. Secondly, there's two very large light sources on the moon. One is obviously the sun, the second is the Earth. If you just think yourself about a full moon and how bright it is outside on a full moon, now the Earth is a whole lot bigger on the moon, and it would have been like a full Earth for them. So they would have had two very large light sources while they were taking their photos, which will account for a lot of their shadows being different. There's also, to use the lovely word, undulations, I like that word, on the moon's surface, which will also account for angles, different angles of objects that's in photographs. So there's a few other reasons as well for the light sources and stuff, but that's just a few of the main ones. And then one of my favorite ones is there's something called the lunar ranging experiment, which has been going on since before the first moonwalking, which involves reflecting a laser beam of the moon surface. What they get out of that, I don't know. But they were, during the 6 moon landings that was done with the Apollo spacecrafts, or during the Apollo program, they installed 3 retroreflectors on the moon, which is nowadays used by various researchers and scientists across the world. And if we didn't walk on the moon, how did those retroreflectors get installed? So that's just a few of the reasons. There's plenty, if you just Google it, there's plenty more reasons. Plenty more myths, plenty more reasons why it actually happened, if you want to go and have a look. But I'd like to sort of remind you, as Charlie Duke from Apollo 16 said, we have been to the moon 9 times, we've had 6 landings. If we wanted to fake it, why would we carry on after the first one? As we all know from human experience, from your own experience, is it's much easier to do one line and give it up than to carry on with the line, exaggerating it. Somewhere along the line you're going to get caught out. So why would they have carried on with it if it was to be a fake? So all I ask of you today is not to let the conspiracy theories diminish one of the greatest achievements in human history. And do not let them make you lose faith in the human ability to achieve great things.